Hey, what's up guys? My name's Andrew. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about something a little bit different today, and that will be the books I've read in the past 8 months. Now, if you're like me and you have nothing to do, then this is a perfect time to really find what you're really into and just the different types of genres that books have to offer, even if you hate reading. Now, the reality is no one wants to read a book they're assigned to read, especially when it's over the summer, and that's exactly what my high school did. They made us read How to Read Literature Like a Professor and My Name is Ashalev, which are useless books that really don't teach you how to be successful in life. On top of that, they shoved it down our throats and made our GPAs depend on it, and they just labeled it as education and called it a day. The sad truth is that's what most of us experience with books, a complete fucking joke. And so in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the books I've read in 2020 and my personal recommendations. Now, since I'm more business orientated, these books are going to be more on the investments and real estate side. But with this list, there's going to be books that I think everyone should read and really pertain to everyone, regardless of what major or what career you're going into. Now, before we get into the video, leave a like for the YouTube algorithm, just the little thumbs up button, and subscribe if you're new to the channel. With that being said, let's get it. Now, first one on this list is the 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. And regardless of what you really think of him, he's built an empire in real estate, and you gotta hand it to him. He's a pretty successful guy. Now, I'm not gonna get into all of his business and how he makes money, but when it comes to the actual book, it's definitely a good read. And some of the topics he talks about is not playing victim, and in order to become successful, you have to do it yourself, since no one else is going to do it for you. The second book on this list is The Runaway Species by Anthony Brandt and David Eagleman. Now, this book focuses more on creativity and psychology, looking into the historical art design and how things like the iPhone or modern day architecture is really a blend of two different historical timelines. It covers everything from technology design to Picasso and the psychology behind each of these creations. And I read this book within less than a week, and it was definitely a really good book, and I would recommend it for someone who's more on the left side of the brain and is more creative. The third one on this list is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. Now, this is a very famous book, and I would highly recommend everyone to check it out and to read it. And the reason why is it goes into a lot of detail on how you can influence people and to really manipulate people to your liking in a good way, that is, and to negotiate and to achieve a win-win situation every time instead of a win-lose situation. Now, this book is divided into 3 sections: dependence, independence, and interdependence. And this book explains how you can achieve interdependence by caring for others and also being simultaneously independent as well. Now, the fourth one on this list is The 10 Commandments to Business Failure by Donald Keough. The book is referenced to the Decalogue format of the 10 Commandments in Christianity, taking the top 10 most common mistakes that businesses go through, and this can really make or break your business. And it goes into a lot of examples on different real-life examples of companies that have risen and have fallen. Every entrepreneur and every business owner should take the time to read this book, and I would highly recommend this book for someone who wants to start their own business. The fifth one on this list is The Company of One by Paul Jarvis, and this book was released in 2019. Paul Jarvis offers a really fresh perspective on a one-man business and why sometimes it's not really necessary to expand your business because you're taking on additional risk and stress, and this could ultimately take away the successful factor that made you become successful in the first place. The Company of One is a very business-oriented book, and I would recommend this for entrepreneurs and business owners that have already established a business. The next one on this list is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, and this is one of the most famous books ever written. This book mainly talks about how to put yourself in someone else's shoes and to really cater to someone else's interests before yours. And it's kind of like the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, but it's much more broad and it covers much different scenarios. Now, when it comes to this book, I would definitely recommend this to someone that wants to better themselves and to improve their relationship with others. The 7th book on this list is going to be more real estate related, which is the book on real estate investing. by Brandon Turner, who's part of the Bigger Pockets community. And I would highly recommend anyone that's related in the real estate industry to join this online community. This book explains the basic premise of home buying through an investor's standpoint using the BRRRR method, which is buy, rehab, rent, refinance, and repeat, which is one of the most common ways of passive income. I would highly recommend this to anyone that's going into real estate investing, especially in the residential areas, since it covers the basic necessities that you need to know, along with expenses like capital expenditures. Now for the next two books, this is going to be the books I've read for my UT classes. So I wasn't planning to read these books, but I had to anyways. And the first one on this list is going to be A Higher Loyalty by James Comey. Now, James Comey was the former director of the FBI before Donald Trump fired him, but it's a very interesting book since it covers FBI ethics and leadership within its organization. As for this book, I would recommend this for really anyone that's related in the governmental industry and wants to learn more about leadership politics. The second book that I read for UT was Leadership in Turbulent Times by Doris Goodwin. Now this book focuses on 4 different presidents and their leadership position throughout history. And honestly, I didn't have too much to say anything about this book since I didn't really like it, since it's kind of useless to me. But if you're into American history and you definitely want to learn more about leadership, then I would highly recommend this book. The 10th one on this list is Being Mortal by Atul Gawande. I think I pronounced his name correctly. Now this book talks about the diminishing respect that we have for our elders in a nursing home crisis. We put our elders on so many drugs that our expenses get overwhelmed. One of the solutions was to cater to the elders' interests, like bringing dogs and growing plants that really make them feel at home and really comfortable. And they did this experiment within a month, and they saw that elders had reduced their drug consumption by 2/3. I would highly recommend this book to really anyone that wants to go into the healthcare profession and wants to look into this overlooked subject. The 11th book on this list is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, and this is by far the most famous self-help book, and it's ranked as the number 9th most popular book of all time. I might get a lot of hate for my opinions for this book, but I felt like this book was very generic and underwhelming. And reading this book felt like watching a giant motivational video. And here are some of his tips when it comes to Think and Grow Rich: desire, persistence, and faith. Like, that's pretty generic. Like, that can be applied to anything. I personally wouldn't recommend it. And I guess it's a good motivational book, but what do you guys think? Leave it down in the comments below if you've read it, and I'll apply to it. So those were all the books I've read so far in 2020. And after much consideration and after looking through all these books, I created my top 3 recommendations from this list. Keep in mind these preferences are going to be a little bit biased since I'm more business oriented and focus more on personal finance and real estate. But I did my best to keep my judgment out of it based on what I've read so far. Coming in at number 3 is The 10 Commandments of Business Failure. And the reason why I would recommend this book is because it explains why some businesses stand out and why they do so well, while the majority of other businesses don't do so well and why they don't exist today. And it's also endorsed by Warren Buffett, so I mean, that gains a few bit of points. Coming in at number 2 is How to Win Friends and Influence People. And this book is filled with just logical, straightforward tips on how you can really make yourself effective. And these tips seem very generic and very logical, but these are things that the majority of people tend to ignore, and by just reading it and applying it to your life, this will put you ahead of the game. Coming in at number 1 is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And this is basically the same thing as How to Win Friends and Influence People, except it focuses on 7 habits. And so this gives a really big edge over that book. And so it goes into these 7 habits in great detail and why and how you should implement these things into your life. And so you have a really good grasp of these effective habits. Now, before we end off the video, these are the 4 books that I'm currently reading right now. The first one on this list is The 4-Hour Work Week by Timothy Ferriss, and he explains the distinctions between the wealthy people between the older generations versus the newer generations. And so the new generation tends to focus on building the net worth on the life philosophies. The second one on this list is Bloomberg, A Billionaire's Ambition. And I haven't even read the first page of it yet, but I have a feeling that I'm going to enjoy this book. And I'm planning just to read this after the 4-hour work week, but definitely know Bloomberg's one of the richest people alive. I'm kind of excited to read his life story. Now, the third one on this list is going to be The Options Volatility and Pricing by Sheldon Nanberg, and it's catered to the options market. And it's pretty advanced, like trading strategies, but I'm pretty excited on what this book has to offer. Now, I saved the best for last, and this is The Intelligent Investor, which is written by the legend himself, Benjamin Graham, which I think every investor should read. But definitely the second chapter about inflation has taught me more than what high school has taught me in 4 years. Definitely read this book if you have some sort of background knowledge in investing, since it's a little bit advanced, but Benjamin does give so much insight on his experience in the stock market. Overall, I think you should find a genre of books that you really like without having the pressure of all these metaphorical test questions being shoved down your throat, because I used to be in your position. I used to hate reading. And so after high school, I began to explore different genres of books, and I finally discovered that I really enjoyed investing in business books. So those are the books I would recommend, and I'm going to leave all the Amazon affiliate links down in the description below. And if you purchase this book through my link, I get a small commission out of that. You won't have to pay extra, but I do get the little commission because I sent you through my Amazon link. So definitely helps support the channel. I hope you all found this video useful, and if you did, consider dropping a like and comment down below. I do take a lot of time to film and edit these videos, so just dropping a simple like would greatly help my channel. And if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing to see more content like this. Oh yeah, and if you want 2 free stocks, link down in the description below. Sign up, create an account, and deposit $100 and get 2 free stocks valued up to $1,400, and hook 'em.